This morning I was listening at Alexa, and then all of a sudden the advertisement shifted and said, Jesus, the greatest story ever told. Yet I do disagree because I don't believe that Jesus is the greatest story ever told. Jesus is actually the greatest truth ever told. And we're still telling, and he's still revealing himself. Language carries baggage today. It implies something, and I really don't like what it is implying. A story to me is something normally fictional, embellished. And to be quite frank with you, I find it somewhat disrespectful because if we're talking about George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Albert Einstein, Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King, we don't talk about them and say, oh, wow, their life was the greatest story ever told. No. Their life may be put in a book and we call it a biography. That implies that it is nonfiction, that is true. But to say the greatest story ever told implies just the opposite. And if you hear it enough, Jesus, the greatest story ever told, then you would start to believe that that's all it is, a story. And that just is not the case. Jesus was called Emmanuel. Remember the angel? Emmanuel is interpreted, God with us. Now that in itself needs some respect on his name. He's not a story. He's the truth, the way, and the life. It feels to me as though they're trying to put Jesus Christ on a shelf with all the other mythological heroes, the folklore stories, the inspirational tales, and the ancient legends. But Jesus is not a folklore. He's not a myth. He's not a sky daddy, like some people like to call him. He is, in fact, not a symbolic figure just made up to help us feel better. Jesus, help me. I feel better. Like Santa Claus coming down the chimney leaving gifts, or the tooth fairy leaving money under a pillow. Those are fictional characters. Jesus is not. He is simply not a tell. The chapter has ended. Because Jesus, in fact, ministered, he was crucified, he was buried, he rose, he ascended, and he's seated at the right hand of the Father right now, still working, because he's forever making intercession for us. And I know many people don't like to hear this, especially the Gnostics, the mystics, and all the unbelievers and all the false God people. But Jesus is returning. Oh yes, he's coming back with a kingdom that never ends. And we're going to occupy in him and tell the truth of him until he returns.